Hello there, and welcome to the Potent Puffin Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Thomas, and sitting here beside me is Kita, the Yell Count. Now, this past week has been very exciting for Kalsin because he's had a lot going on. So on Saturday, we took him to this, like, little screening kind of thing for preschool. He had a lot of fun going to that because the first thing they did is they took his picture with a Polaroid camera, so he got to see the film come out and his picture be right there on the paper immediately. That was really cool. He hadn't seen that before. And then they did like these little pretty much pointed this big camera looking thing in his eyes to make sure his eyes are developing right or something. And it went that went good, they said, so that's cool. Then they did a few hearing tests, and his hearing is developing properly. So that's good. That's cool. And then we went to this other room where they had one of their teachers, one of the kindergarten teachers, I believe it was, kind of played with Calvin and like saw how he interacted and how he plays. And then another individual from the organization was there, and they were talking with us, seeing how he's doing at home and how he behaves and if there's any concerns we have. And the whole purpose of this thing was just to see if there's any community resources there is to, help us as parents and to help Kalsin as a, toddler growing up, and to see where he is, if he's ready to go into preschool or not. So that was really interesting. And then they had a speech therapist come and evaluate him, which he already does speech therapy through the hospital. So it was kind of just with the speech therapist there, it was just kind of a second opinion on his speech and how that's growing, which is always kind of nice to see that we are on the right track with what we're doing with our speech therapist. And they pretty much said the exact same thing our speech therapist that we have Kalsin going to is saying and working on him with. But it's funny because we're doing this other evaluation with this person while the speech therapist is doing her thing with Kalsin, but we can hear their interactions. And one of the things that they were doing was they were asking Kalsin like hypothetical type questions to kind of, I guess, just to see where his reasoning's at and see how he would respond to certain situations. And that is when I realized Kalsin does not deal with hypotheticals. If it is not literal and actual, he is not gonna. He doesn't grasp the concept of the hypothetical yet. Because they were like asking me, what would you do if you didn't know where your shoes are? And he's like, I know where my shoes are. And the speech therapist was like, well, imagine you're trying to get ready and you couldn't find your shoes and you didn't know where to find them. How would you ask your mom and dad to help? And he's like, I would know where my shoes were. And that's just how this whole conversation went. Like, she tried other questions, like, if you felt sick, how would you tell your mom and dad that you felt sick? And he's like, I don't feel sick. And she's like, well, imagine you were. And he's like, but I don't. And so, like, he doesn't grasp the idea of the hypothetical questions yet. And I just thought that was, I don't know, I kind of had a little laugh at it because I could tell the speech therapist was having trouble getting this concept across to him, but he was just so dead set in only answering in the literal and now that they couldn't get it. So that's one thing that they suggested we need to work on is his, I guess it's just thought process and what to do if, and not necessarily always just what is happening now. That was like the only real thing that they really saw during that screening. And this Thursday, or no, not Thursday, Friday, he went to the preschool itself and interacted with the other kids there, and they saw how he interacted, and I guess their child psychologist interacted with him some, and they said, yeah, he's ready for preschool. They said he actually probably needs it because they say he plays a little rough, and they think the preschool will help with that. So that's interesting. So hopefully this fall he will be getting to preschool. They said it wouldn't be until this fall because they're about to go on to the summer break. So that's cool. He's going to get to do preschool this fall, so that's interesting and very exciting. He misses the cutoff for kindergarten by about a month, but I think doing a year of preschool before starting kindergarten will be good for him because it'll help. I think it'll help get him acclimated to, you know, going somewhere else during the day without mom and dad, and kind of the idea of, how does school work and how does he need to act when he's in that other setting. So that's kind of been Kalsin's big thing this week. And then Monday, we took him to Toddler tumbling. So every Monday, so downtown, I guess it's actually a karate or taekwondo gym. I didn't know about. Like, I knew there was a taekwondo karate gym on the island. I just didn't know where or how it works, because there's not much information about it. But they also split their space with a CrossFit instructor. And the CrossFit instructor, I believe, is who's doing this. Every Monday for like an hour, hosts what's called toddler tumbling, where they put out like the balance beams and like the big mats, and just let the kids kind of just like roll around. Like they run them through like organized exercises. Like they'll be like, okay, right now everyone do somersaults or, you know, forward tumbles across the mat. Now everyone do crab walks back. They do that, then they get like the little small balance beams out, and they walk across, and they set up like these big like block things and have the kids like jump over them. And it was a lot of fun. Kalsin really enjoyed it, and I think our thought process on having him go do this was, okay, he's gonna go do this. He's gonna run around and be a maniac for an hour and get all his energy out, and he'll be chill and calm the rest of the night. Well, that really didn't work out. It ended up being the exact opposite. He got home and he just wanted to continue toddler tumbling at home, which he does have like these four like little like of those kind of play block things, but he wanted to like jump off the couch. He was like trying to do like backflips off the couch. We have hardwood flooring. I'm like, kid, you can't just be doing somersaults off the couch. You're gonna land on the floor and hurt yourself. And he was just so rowdy the rest of that day. Like, he thought toddler tumbling was a 24-hour event. Like, leaving the gym didn't end toddler tumbling for him. It just continued at home. So he was really energetic that day. He's kind of kept that up all week. He's been a little more energetic than usual, and he's usually pretty energetic. So that's something we've been dealing with, is just extra Kalsin energy. But hey, it's good. I like knowing that he has this energy, and he's wanting to do it in a good way. He's, expressing it with, exercise kind of things rather than just pure anger or something like that. But that's interesting. He had the toddler tumbling, and that was a lot of fun for him. And it was neat. And I think we're going to continue doing that with him on Mondays. Yeah, that's really cool. And then on Thursday, Brandy's mom was off, so she was able to watch Kalsin, and me and Brandy took a drive by ourselves out to Pasagshak, and that's always fun. It was kind of a really foggy, and like it wasn't really raining, but it was like misty out. But the temperature was like mid 40s, I think, so it was really comfortable. Like, it wasn't like that miserable mist. It was like a nice calming kind of mist. So we drove out, and we went up to Pasagshak Point, which I don't remember the last time I was up there. It's been a couple years, I think, since I've actually gone up to the point at Pasagshak. And we got some really cool pictures of some eagles. Had a really cool female eagle that was perched up on an old, I think it's like a cattle, the things that the cattle go into, and that was cool. And then we got out and we like walked along the cliffs, and there was an eagle perched up at the end of the cliff. That was really cool. I got a couple pictures of that dude, and that's just he just looks like your classic bald eagle, just chilling out there. And while we're going, of course, there's cows up there. They kind of like free roam basically, and there is this one calf that like so all the other cows like moved off the road and like kind of went down the hill. But this calf like I guess he was scared to go down the hill with the rest of the cows, and so he just like ran in front of us. Then he finally like veered off to the side, like once it wasn't like a hill anymore. But then like after we parked and we got out and like walked around for a little bit, we noticed this calf like kept like making his like call to his mom. I think is what he was doing. But then he just starts walking towards us. And then we got back in the car and we are like driving back down. And here's this same calf. He's like followed us almost all the way back to the main road. And I just thought it was kind of interesting that this little cow was like following us. But then he saw the rest of his cows and he mingled over to him, got back with his cows. So that was interesting, but yeah, that was really good because the like it wasn't the perfect like sunny day to be out, but sometimes those like especially here in Kodiak like those foggy misty days, it can be calming. Like it kind of looks dreary and like it looks blah a lot of times, but sometimes when you're out there, that kind of foggy mist just feels comfortable and calming. So, yeah, it may not be like the perfect picturesque, but it's very Kodiak, and it's good. That's interesting. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, overall though, that was a really good drive. We had a lot of fun. It was a good relaxing time for us. And then here in just a few minutes when I get done with this, I'm gonna get on Facebook and I'm gonna tune in to the decommissioning ceremony of the Coast Guard cutter Douglas Munro. It is being officially decommissioned today, and it's about to head, I guess, dry dock to begin the official decommissioning process. And so that's interesting. That's a very old, very historic kind of Coast Guard boat, the Douglas Munro. It recently had its name changed to Douglas Munro about 5 years ago, I think. Before it was just the Coast Guard cutter Munro. But then when they were, I think it was one of the national security cutters, but it might be a fast response or Whimsel. I'm not sure. I don't really keep up with them much anymore that I'm out. But I want to say it's one of the national security cutters they named the Munro. And so to avoid confusion over having two Coast Guard cutters called the Munro, they took the old Munro and dubbed it the Douglas Munro. But that's really cool. If you don't know who Douglas Munro is, he's a very historic Coast Guard figure. He basically like used himself as a shield. He got a bunch of Marines off the beach at Guadalcanal, I believe it was. He was the first Coast Guard member to receive the Medal of Honor, I believe. But he's a very interesting person. If you have time, go look him up, learn about him. He's an interesting figure. Yeah. So it's kind of something I'm going to do to try and not only honor, his memory, but the memory of the boat, because it's been around for around almost 60 years. That boat's almost 60 years old. So that's almost 60 years of service that boat's had to our country. And I served on it for a brief time. I got stationed there, but then I began the med board process, so my actual time on the boat wasn't very long. But I did get underway and do one patrol with them, and that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from that crew. So I'm going to get on, I'm going to watch that decommissioning ceremony and pay those respects to that boat, because it's an important part of me, and It's a important part of this country, I think. So that's what I'm about to do, and yeah, I hope everyone has a good week, and take care of yourselves, and catch you all on the flip side.